Hello, everybody, and welcome to Speaking Driven Business Livecast. My name is Joan Bowling, and I'm delighted to be a member of the National Speakers Association of Virginia. Welcome, everybody. Let me ask you, are you an expert who shares your knowledge, expertise, and wisdom to help all different kinds of clients succeed? Chances are then that you're asked to speak, or you speak to groups large and small, in person and virtually, in a number of different ways, either as an author, maybe a trainer, a coach, consultant, keynoting, and more. At the National Speakers Association of Virginia, we are all about being smart and savvy and building a speaking-driven business, which is why I love to have conversations with smart, savvy people who are doing just that. So today we are going to learn from a very special guest. Today we're going to be talking with a smart and savvy, smooth sailing author, speaker, and former president of the National Speakers Association, Jim Gordon. Jim, welcome. Delighted to have you here.
Well, Joan, what an honor. I mean, to be interviewed by someone with all of your worlds and years of working in broadcasting. So thank you.
You are so kind. And again, let's get this conversation going with what and whom do you help in your business? What problems are you solving for whom?
I only work for women business leaders, mostly entrepreneurs who own their own company or women who are in executive sales.
So how did you get involved in this niche? How did you steer? Were you out here and then you just traveled into this lane and you're like, yes, this works?
I was way out there.
Okay.
No, I started doing weekend trainings. I was trained by my mentor back in the 80s, early 80s. And so I was doing weekend programs at Hyatt houses, and then I kind of focused a lot on the Marriott. But I was doing them for anybody who would pay to come take the training. What were the
topics? What did you talk about?
The program was called Alpha Mind Power. It
Okay.
was a program about how you create success through visualization.
Okay.
And it was a whole stepped program that was designed for people to be able to create within the next 30 days their own goals by doing repeated visualization.
And
so I trained them in the technique. As I grew later in my career, we did a follow-up 30 days later because we found that in 30 days, some of the people in the group would have had amazing results. Mm-hmm. And the neighbor sitting next to him goes, wow, I was sitting here 30 days ago. Look at what they achieved.
Okay. So how did you happen to tap into that mentor or this process? What was going on in your life, your career, that you found this person? Wow, it worked for you, I take it. And so then you shared it and taught it.
I saw him on a special on the Richmond station, on the public radio, television station, Richmond, and he was one of the guests. But I got on his mailing list, just found him interesting, and for a while I didn't do anything except order a couple books. Mm-hmm. And then I had a major change in my life.
Okay.
And my wife of 5+ years, I all of a sudden found out that she was having 2 affairs.
Okay.
So I went into a depression, and in 6 months later, I was sitting in the forward cabin of my liveaboard houseboat with a bottle of sleeping pills in my hand. And I was ready to just be out of the pain permanently.
Right.
So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I hear this voice say, is this the way you want to end? And I'm looking around like, I didn't say that. And then I thought, no, this is not how I want it to end. So based on that decision, it led me back to then going to work with my mentor, going through his programs. He trained me. I wouldn't be the trainer or speaker that I am today without the training that I got from him.
Thank you for sharing that deeply personal story. So the low point caused you to, or was the catalyst for you making some healthy changes, life-saving changes that now you give to others. So in what you do right now, Jim, what are your main products or services or ways that you help solve those problems?
primarily two different ways. What I've become known for is my one-to-one guaranteed program.
Tell us more about that.
That is where, after interviews, a client and I have come to find out that we're going to be the right fit.
Okay.
And when we find out we're the right fit, then they know what we're going to do. I know what we're going to do. And then I begin a process. And my process, once we've made that agreement, is first I'm going to interview you. It's going to be about 45 minutes to an hour, but I'm going to ask you questions. Some of them you already know the answers to, like, what are your 30-day business goals?
Okay.
Every good businesswoman knows what her 30-day business goals are.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to ask her, we have 4 aspects of self: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Do you want to improve in any of those areas? Spiritual comes up, physical comes up. They all come up differently for different women. Mm. But then I take that information down and then I ask them a big question. I ask them the $64,000 question.
And we are eager to hear what that is.
And that is, what do you hate? What do you want to get rid of?
Okay. Huh.
And so these women are usually too busy to think about, well, I hate this, but I don't have time to deal with that. Right. So I write all that down and then they pay me for that interview. Mm-hmm. My job starts then. I have to come up with what is the positive equivalent of everything that they want. Because if you focus on the negative, you just get more of the negative.
Get more of the negative, right.
So if I've corrected myself personally, or if one of my clients have, I know what the positive answer is. Mm-hmm. If not, I have to begin researching whatever is ailing them to find out what the positive equivalent is. If I can't find it out through research, then I have to do something which some people might find a little strange. I don't. I have to get quiet and ask a higher source than myself to give me the answer of what is their positive equivalent.
So you use all 4 tools that you are coaching or mentoring other professional business women on for yourself for the answers. You walk the talk in order to get to the essence of the problem and solve the issues.
If it's been proven, then I know we have a solution. Mm-hmm. Then, and this is all done by a prior agreement, I create a recording for them, no longer than 15 minutes.
Okay.
That recording, for them to get the money back guarantee, they must listen to that recording 5 times a day. In other words, no more than an hour and 15 minutes for 30 days. If they are happy with their results at the end of 30 days, they pay me the final payment. Okay. If not, I refund their money. But the truth is, almost every time they get their results.
It works. So obviously you're on to a very good formula. And from the professional women's standpoint that enlist your services to get off of stuck, then they are traveling with Captain Jim 5 times a day with your affirmations, right? Is it professional affirmations? Is it?
Yes, and they're all started with the word I am.
Huh.
So it's not Jim Gordon says, and it's not Joan says. It goes, they are hearing, I am successful, blah, blah, blah. Everything is I am, and they're repeated at least 3 times on that session.
Right.
Also, while they're listening to this, their job is to see themselves so happy that they've achieved their results. Mm-hmm. It's like adding jet fuel to it.
Ooh, I like that. I like the jet fuel. And then from the scientific standpoint, again, we all have things that we want to change or don't want to deal with and push aside, but weigh us down. Part of what you're saying then, Jim, if I'm correct on this, is retraining the brain.
Absolutely. What you're doing is you're really putting deliberate input into your subconscious mind. See, your subconscious mind never sleeps. So if it hears something repeated enough positively, it will begin to attract it. Now, that's why I work for women, because women are more intuitive than men, and they're more likely to trust their intuition. This is not about thinking something out. This is about just listening to the same thing over. I had one client, someone who you know, who listened to it 6 times a day.
All right.
for 30 days.
Okay.
And then I'll occasionally have clients say, this is really working. Can I keep listening to it? I said, of course you can keep listening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very good. So we talked about a little bit about your process and the total approach and whom you serve. How do you use speaking of any kind to attract, whether it's keynotes or presentations or podcasts or online sessions? How do you get more of those successful clients to know about Captain Jim Gordon?
Well, the first thing I do is I join groups that are designed for women. I'm a member of the American Businesswomen's Association, local chapter in Richmond. Most of my clients come from there, but you have to get with those women. They have to know that you are a trusted source for them, right, and that your interest is in them, not in yourself.
Yes.
So that's the first thing. The other thing that I do, and I do this very rarely, but I got asked this just the other day. I met a meeting planner, and she says, I'm having a women's conference next year in the Charlottesville area. Would you do what we used to call a breakout session for free, And I do have a fee for that. And I said, well, because you're part of MPI, I would consider doing it for free. But just know that this is a favor I'm doing for you. And so what we call those sessions now is we call them advanced education systems. Mm-hmm. So if you're doing an advanced education session, the result is for you to give a deliverable. So the meeting planner, or whoever looks good, or if it's a business owner and you're training their staff, you've got to come up in a couple of hours to a half a day with program that they can take. And then what I would do, once again, just like I used to do, 30 days later, I want to come back for a session. I mean, a live session, okay, from the same participants. Because what I know from statistics is some are going to do amazing things. Right. Some are going to have success. But what I'm looking for is the 10% that don't have success. Because if they don't, there's a reason. And I want to uncover what that is and unlock that for them so they can go on and get their success. In other words, I want every person who comes through one of my programs to become successful.
That's fantastic. What a wonderful intention for the audience. So in the speaking part, the advanced education sessions, they like, know, and trust you. That's very important because your hope is that they will work one-on-one with you. So a certain percentage of that audience will like what they see in that session and then enlist your services professionally to do a one-on-one plan. Is that usually how it happens for you?
And it may require even 2 one-on-ones to determine if we're the right fit. Sure. But I have great clients that I refer. I just called one of my past clients this week. I contacted her, and she said, I'm so glad you're back. And she said, I am on sabbatical this summer, but I'm going to go into a whole new thing next year, and I'll need some time with you. So what I offer for my successful clients, this is very unusual in our world. There's no charge. You are successful. I'm going to support you in whatever you do through the rest of your career.
Jim, I don't want to alarm you, but you know this is a live cast.
I absolutely do. This is true. I mean, this is what I do. This is what I do. If they come through my program and they're successful, and then, of course, I get to refer people to them.
Absolutely.
Then, I'm going to keep supporting them.
What a great pay it forward and starting the relationship and then growing the relationship in knowing that in anything that we do in life, we're not one and done. We master that first step. Oh gosh, there's a second one and a third and a new track. And so you travel with them throughout their career, which is fantastic.
Yeah, if they want me, but the thing is, how many of us are stagnant and stay one place and never try something new? I mean, some people do, but not too many.
Right.
And most of the women I know are pretty dynamic and they go, okay, I've done that. Let's move on. Let me do something else, even more interesting.
Very good.
That's why I love working for them. They're fabulous people.
I love that you enjoy them as well as enjoy your work and enjoy speaking to a large audience, which is fantastic. So I want to brag on you a little bit, and I would encourage everybody to go to Captain Jim Gordon's website, which is, by the way, smoothsailing.com.
No, www.
Yes.
Successful Life Sailing.
Okay. Successful life sailing.
Not selling, but sailing.
Sailing. And so,
All one word, Successful Life Sailing.
and if you need to go on the website, not only to check out Captain Jim Gordon and his writings, announcements, homepage, biography, you also will be relaxed and uplifted by his pictures, because Captain Jim Gordon is a captain, and smooth sailing not only shares what he likes to do outside the office, but how he helps people within their office. So Jim, talk a little bit about how being a captain and the training and the maneuvering on the water makes that transition into your business world and your clients.
When I did my last really big program, I did one in Virginia Beach. I thought, well, I'm not going to speak anymore. I'm going to do this training. We're going to video record it. We brought in two full color cameras from UVA, had it set up for one camera on me, one camera, it's like the training to end all trainings. I started using a lot of analogies from life to things in boating, like, this is a safe harbor, or you have to beware of this sandbar. Watch this sandbar in your life because it could wreck your career. Sure. So I started using a lot of nautical terms. And when I occasionally do, and I do occasionally, very rarely, do a speech prepared for someone in particular. Like the Toastmasters Club of Blue Ridge, several years ago, two of them were former members of NSA Virginia. And they said, we're going to have our second annual distinguished speaker. Would you be the second annual distinguished speaker for our Toastmasters group? Right. And I said, well, who was last year? And they said, the mayor of Charlottesville. Went, oh, okay, well, I better be good,
You better be good.
So I had to prepare a whole speech. And I'm still connected to those two individuals. They're a couple who were just delightful. So,
well, that's fantastic.
In rare cases, I will do a custom prepared speech for certain people or groups.
Excellent. I do want to share that Jim has his first book, Songbook from My Soul, which is named for his great love of the sea. And I'm going to put the pressure on you now, buddy. A second book is coming out, Who Let the Crabs Out, which is adorable. I'm sure it's going to have a soundtrack to go with it. Talk about navigating the waters of life. What are your thoughts on that second book? When is it going to come out?
Well, it's in rewrite now. I have the great fortune to have met a lot of great people in the National Speakers Association. One of my very favorites is Glenna Salisbury. And she always said, story, point, application, or point, story, application. So she taught me this technique. Well, I had the stories. I have 12 crafted stories from things that happened either when I was a youth or when I was growing up on the Chesapeake Bay, of things that went wrong. And my great buddy Bill Staten, also in 29 Emmy winner, he said, you got to build it up to a crescendo, and then you've got to, before you go over the edge, you've got to pull them out. So I was worked on the stories. The stories already crafted. Sure. But I wanted the point in the application, because as Glenna said, you have a great story and people go, okay, that's nice.
Very good.
So what?
Enjoyed it.
Yeah. So if they don't see there's an application and that it relates to them, it's just another interesting story.
Right.
So that's the part I've been working on. And I want to rewrite and make sure that the stories have a point and that they have an application for the reader.
Excellent. Very good. So that will be coming out 2018?
I'd say after the next book that's coming out before that one.
All right. Okay, fine.
You know what I'm talking about. We have another book that's coming.
Deadlines, don't we? All right. Very good. Now, you brought up National Speakers Association, the international organization, and of course, you're a Virginia member. You're a professional member. What's the biggest reason why?
I've only missed 2 national conventions, and one was in San Diego because we thought the second son, Allison's second son, was graduating in San Diego. So we weren't going to make 2 trips to San Diego. I still regret that decision. And the last one was last year in Orlando. And I used to do so much work in Orlando. I went, I don't need to go to Orlando. But I missed the people. I really did. And the friends that I have, and since I've seen you last, my list has been growing of people there that I'm either meeting or already know and just have terrific friendships.
Time out in this live cast. Let me just share with you that my first professional NSA conference, Jim is walking around with a list of 85 people he wants to meet.
Right.
I'm thrilled if I run into 3 and on my list. And dang, if he doesn't check them all off. And the reason you do that, Jim, is not only you are a master networker, but share more of the insight as to why you do that.
Well, I do that for a multitude of reasons. And one of the ones is that by the time I went to Anaheim, I was already the treasurer for NSA Virginia.
Okay.
And I already knew I was going to be looking for speakers. So I had people I wanted to get to know, because I think, at least for me, within 5 minutes of talking to somebody, I can go, yep, this is a good one,
Okay.
or go, nope, this isn't going to work.
Okay.
So I did a lot of that back then, but then I started seeing, oh, look at this person with their credentials. I'd just like to really get to know them. So, you know, particularly if they were women leaders. I mean, I can't be part of the power women of NSA, but those are a lot of my good fans. So they're all, you know, I get over there and they all love to see me, and because they know I totally support women.
Very
But
good.
I just think the camaraderie of NSA at that high professional level. I mean, I met Brian Tracy. He and his wife were there. I used to hear him speak. I know Brian Tracy now. It's like, oh my God, I know Brian Tracy. You know, it's like people with really high credentials
Yes.
in NSA are just regular, great people who like other people. They're not like some highfalutin organization that goes, well, you can't come in our country club.
Right, right.
No, they are some of the best people I know are in NSA. Yes.
I remember sitting in a breakout or advanced educational session, and Brian Tracy was in there. And don't you know, he had his pen and notebook out, and he was taking notes.
I was sitting next to him.
Oh,
And
okay, there you go.
I looked at
I just noticed Brian Tracy, Jim.
Yeah, and we know who was speaking at that session, and she's a dynamo. And I said, Brian, you're taking notes. He says, you can never stop learning. I thought,
Absolutely.
if Brian Tracy is still taking notes and learning, then I need, and we were both on the front row. I
He's
mean,
the king of publishing and podcasts and webinars, and yes, much to aspire to, but I love that he continues to learn. And you are so curious and you're so observant that you noted that, and that you embrace that is just a beautiful thing. All right, for those that want to get in touch with you, 2 good ways to get in touch with Jim Gordon. How would that be?
okay, first of all, Jim at successfullifesailing.com. That's
Okay.
my email address.
Jim at successfullifesailing.com. Got it.
All spelled out, all
Okay.
one word.
Very good.
Or because I live in remote places in Virginia,
Yes, you do.
you know, we know that. I live on the edge of the 3G network. The best thing is to send me a text. If you have a cell phone, if you don't, what century are you living in?
Wow.
Send me a text to my cell phone number, 804-399-4444.
All right, one more time, please.
Yeah, 804-399-4444.
Easy enough. So a
Easy.
text or send an email, because you do live on the edge, the beautiful edge of the 3G network in a place called Wind Chimes. And just to share with you how very talented Jim Gordon is, he designed the house that he lives in, which is just a little slice of heaven, which is fantastic. Speaking of little slice of heaven, it has been a delight to engage in conversation with you today. And we could go on, but we're going to keep it timely in this go around. So thank you so much, Jim, for joining us today on this live cast.
Oh, John, anytime.
Good.
Always a pleasure.
For those who want to hear and see more amazing interviews about how to build your speaking driven business, you want to make sure you stop in at nsavirginia.org/livecast. Thanks for listening and jumping in on this special program today and leaving your comments. We'll see you again next time. Have a good one.